Okay, Kendall.
Hi, Lori.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to my apartment here.
I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you.
I'm happy to be here.
Love your ocean theme and your redwood, or rainforest, sorry,
Oh,
rainforest
yeah.
theme.
Yeah, it kind of continues back there. You haven't seen the back, but I'll show you
Okay.
in a minute or
That
so.
sounds good.
So how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be off work. I'm glad to be done with the day.
That's good. I wanted to ask you about your cat. I love your
Oh.
posts about your cat. They're hilarious.
I love Delilah. She's great.
Delilah. I love
When
that
I
name.
first got arrested, I went to jail when I was in my madness. My husband gave my cat away. So I thought if I ever get my act together again, one of the first things I will do is get a cat.
Oh, okay.
And it seemed like an unattainable goal that has become attainable. So Delilah is a princess and she can do no wrong. So that's the first thing.
I don't know. It looks like she's plotting against you or something.
Yeah, she does. She has her moments. You know, she may be rebellious, but she does tend to be plotting in her face, photogenic. But you know, you got to understand. I push her around in a stroller. I take her on a leash. You would be plotting against me too if I did all those things.
In a stroller where?
Around the neighborhood. It works.
Okay.
It works twofold. It keeps the neighbors from talking to me because hey, there's a crazy cat lady pushing the cat in the stroller, and two, it gives me exercise. So.
Oh yeah. Now I've seen people with cats on leashes and they don't like it at all.
No, she's not a fan. I mean, sometimes she'll just lay down and let me drag her, and other times I'll be like, "Come on, good kitty, walk, walk," and she'll take a couple steps. I'm like, "Good girl," because she likes praise, like we all do, you know.
Yeah.
but for the most part, it's just I'm gonna stand here and sniff this leaf while you have a rope around me.
So I wonder, do they get trained on a leash eventually?
I don't know. We're going to find out because
Okay.
if she thinks the leash is over with, she would be mistaken. And she's not even 6 months old, so there's hope.
Oh, okay.
There's hope.
Now I'll come home and there's cats in my chair, in my camping chair out here on
Okay.
the porch. Yeah, and I thought about, bringing one up or something, especially since I had previously had mice up
I
here.
don't know if I'd do that.
Why?
I would get one from the Humane Society because they're kittens, and you know that first of all, you know that they're allowed to be yours because you don't know if somebody's indoor-outdoor cat is coming and chilling in your chair.
Yeah.
But cats are really good for mice.
Yeah.
Well, my cat might not be. She doesn't really do much, but you know.
I bet if one ran out, her instincts would kick in.
You would think. I would hope so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure though.
I don't know. I had a dog and it was really peaceful, but a rabbit jumped out in front of it and it bit the head off of it.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like the most. It's just instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how does their instinct tell the difference between a rabbit and a cat, though? That's what's scary.
Yeah. I bet she would.
I hope so. I don't know. We might have to test that theory. Not with a live mouse or anything, but there's got to be a robotical mouse that looks pretty real that we could. Because I'm not sure. She does have the cat instincts to hide from a big dog, but that just might be her being a sissy. I don't know.
Maybe she's just smart.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's definitely smart, but she also thinks she's bossy. She bosses the dogs around. We have 2 pugs, and she completely bosses them around.
So are you going to put up a tree, or is she going to climb up it and knock everything down?
Oh, a Christmas tree? Yeah, I'm pretty sure she'll be destructive with that, but I am going to put up a Christmas tree. How about you? Are you going to?
Yeah, I'm going to. I didn't last year. I had a roommate and I lived, somewhere else. But yeah, I didn't put one up, but I think I'm just going to get like a small one. When I was growing up, it was always live trees. We always had real Christmas trees.
Right.
And I kind of want that, but
I know, I thought about that too, but the needles falling out and stuff, and then you have to find a live one.
Right. I don't even know where to find one here.
I don't either. I'm sure they'll start to pop up after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, maybe the
Christmas
grocery
tree
stores or something.
Oh, yeah, they do that in the grocery stores, huh?
Yeah. But to get it here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's always the thing when you're vehicularly challenged like we are.
Yeah, but it won't be long for you, right?
Supposedly, Florida has a hold on my driver's license, but all it needs to do is be reinstated, but they want me to come down there and pay the $77 reinstatement fee. I sent my ex-husband in there with $77. I said he could not act on my behalf, so instead I had to give power of attorney to a lawyer and have her do it. So hopefully that won't be long.
Oh wow. Okay.
It was about the same amount as going down there and going
Right.
to the DMV and doing it. And
What
giving
part
a
of
lawyer.
Florida is it?
Pinellas County, Florida.
I
We're
don't know.
Clearwater Beaches, Tampa.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there in the midst of it.
Yeah. Is that where you used to live? I love
Yes.
that area.
Yeah, I love that area too. I lived there for, I don't know, from COVID, so 2020 to
You lived
till
there?
I
then?
got arrested. Yeah, to 2022.
I used to visit there all the time
Really?
during COVID.
That's crazy. Yeah.
When you were supposed to go
We
anywhere.
we had a lot of visitors during COVID. I remember thinking this is not quite, how do you say it, like social distancing, because there'd be people just
Yeah.
getting drunk on the beach and they're having a good time, but I'm
Yeah.
like, wow.
Well, when I went there, they were still, it was COVID, but they were still doing the cruise ships. They were still pulling in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but then they had all this where you couldn't go to this restaurant or that. And like, well, people are leaving on cruises and coming back.
Right. Right.
That kind of thing.
That was pretty weird too.
Yeah, like some things.
I was
so-
applying for cruise ship jobs because that's a good hustle down there. So I
Oh,
was,
okay.
and yacht jobs during COVID, but I didn't get selected for any of them. But that was a good idea, I thought.
Yeah.
I guess they were saying the cruise ships, they made an exception for them because they had enough room to where if they cut down on like a quarter of their guests, they
Mhm.
would have the proper restrictions in place for social distancing, which makes no
Yeah,
sense.
on a cruise
Like
ship.
6 feet between people, like
No.
no. I don't know why they got to get away with it, but they did.
Yeah. But during my drinking, I got a boyfriend that was in Florida, and I would go and visit him.
Yes.
And the thing is, like, but for him to fly up, it was like $30-some.
Really? Where did he
Yeah.
fly into?
He from Tampa to Indy.
Oh,
And
to
back.
Indy.
Yeah.
That's right. They have those Allegiant flights. I probably should have flown my kids into Indy rather than Louisville.
Yeah, Indy was always cheaper.
Cheaper.
I did Louisville once because we did that kind of a lot,
Yeah.
going back and forth,
Right.
and it was a lot more expensive out of Louisville than it was Indianapolis. So I would drive
Well, that's good to know for their next trip.
up there. But I love that area, like St. Pete.
Yeah, I went to rehab in St. Pete Beach. That's how I ended up there. I did not do very well in rehab there. I found 5 grams of fentanyl in the parking lot, and
oh wow.
I never
Yeah.
told anybody, and
Oh,
you're only
okay.
as sick as your secrets, and I was very sick. But I decided I wanted to move there, right in the middle of COVID, when my time at the rehab was up, so I convinced my family to move there, and there things just progressed worse. But it was beautiful while I lived there, though.
Yeah.
It was a nice place to visit. I would not suggest going to jail there, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like third world country.
Oh, okay. Well, I was arrested 3 times here in Harrison County, and I never made it to
Past
the back.
booking?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Because of COVID,
Well,
You had to stay in there. I can't remember. Maybe it was 10 days. I never made it 10 days. I was always bonded out.
Yeah.
So.
well, all I know is I had never really done any jail time before, just a matter of hours, and I'd be
Mhm.
bonded out. And I was on probation in Indiana when I moved to Florida, and I violated my probation down there. And so, waiting for Indiana to come and get me, I spent 4 months in Florida jail, and that's the only jail time I'd ever done. So when we got up here to Floyd County, and they were like, sign here for your tablet and sign our e-cig agreement, I'm like, wait a minute, you're giving me a tablet and I can smoke? And like, they had ice and microwaves, and it was, basically I'm glad I went to jail in Florida first and not the other way around, because I would have been very upset. Instead, I was so grateful when I got here,
Yeah. Well, everyone says, I've never been to jail anywhere except for Harrison
Yeah.
County. They said the food's so good, but like I got mold on my food. And
Yeah, that's still good though. I mean,
Yeah.
like in Florida, I literally saw the package one time, and this is not an urban myth, although I would have thought that before. It says, not for human consumption, for zoo animals and inmates. So that
Oh,
kind of
wow.
shows where our society is at with dehumanizing inmates. But yeah, I mean, it was bad. It was
Mhm.
horrible food. There was a couple things I liked, like the cake, but that's pretty much it. And then I got here, and they were making sub sandwiches, like meatball sandwiches, and I mean, they had real hot dogs and stuff. I was, like I said, it was almost like a step towards being released.
How long did you do? Was it Floyd?
5 months in Pinellas County, Florida, and 5 months in Floyd County. So 10 months total. And I will never go back.
Then were you released to the halfway house?
Yes,
then?
I was.
Okay.
I was released to Genesis House.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And graduated there.
graduated there. As of today, I have 2 years and 1 week and 1 day sober. So
That's great.
yeah. How long do you have?
3.5 years.
That's
3.5
great too.
years. Yeah.
That's great too.
I still feel like I'm real early in sobriety.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. It just doesn't feel like it's been that long.
I mean, I guess it does for me too. 'Cause
I have to count it up. I'm like, is that real?
Yeah,
it
is that
really
right?
good?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my 2-year celebration, which I hope you will come,
Yeah,
is the
I will.
24th. And that, I guess that doesn't feel real to me. But I spent 29 years in the madness. So in active addiction, there was not one day that I was sober in those 29 years.
Oh, wow.
Not one day that I didn't use something, be it beer, liquor, mostly meth and heroin, you know. But for 29 years, I drove my car around the block the other day, which I probably shouldn't say because it's still illegal. I don't have a license. But that was the first time I'd ever driven sober in
Oh,
my
wow.
life. Not when I was learning to drive, not when I was a teenager, not ever had I driven sober. So that's something that made me feel new in recovery, but also like, well, I guess I got that out of the way or something, you know, some kind of
Yeah.
milestone, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have my license back, but some of it I think is fear because I've had so many wrecks.
Well, and I feel like that too. I have totaled 12 cars. I've hit 25 parked cars in my driving career, but by the grace of God, I didn't hurt or kill anybody else. I mean, so, yeah, I have a little bit of fear too. That's why I should be calling that lawyer today, really, and being like, hey, did you do this or what, you know?
Yeah.
But I haven't, just because I have a little bit of that fear too. And driving around the block, like, I was scared. To think, and I was so fearless when I was drinking or when I was using, like, it just didn't matter, and I didn't think of the consequences. I sure as hell didn't think of anybody but myself.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I was a danger. Definitely a danger.
Me too.
Complete danger. I was more of a danger when I was in withdrawals because I would drive in withdrawals and feel like I was going to seize out.
Right.
I couldn't keep my foot on the gas pedal.
Right.
And then it's like swerving, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really bad.
I mean, that was a thing for me too, being in withdrawal and not being able to focus or think. But still being in withdrawal is still under the influence, you know, because it's not out of your system yet, and you're trying to get to wherever you got to go to get whatever it is you need.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah. But I feel like there's some people that I'm really comfortable with that I would have in the car with me. Do you see?
Yeah.
Like, while I reorient.
As like a calming influence, or as like,
Yeah, like some of my best friends that they could,
Yeah.
just because the mood isn't serious.
Well, and my boyfriend was pretty good about that. He later told me he was a little bit scared of how close I got to the mailboxes, but he was you know, he's a very calm person anyway, so.
Yeah.
And I did get close to the mailboxes. I wasn't sure if he noticed or not, but I was like, better the side of the road than the middle of the road in a car, you know, there's no other cars, but.
Yeah.
But
if you hit a mailbox,
if you hit a mailbox, you hit a mailbox. I told him I'm probably at some point in our relationship going to hit this mailbox. Okay, I hope I don't, but this is just something that should be laid out there. I told him our first date, I'm a terrible driver. You know, we'll just put those cards on the table right now.
Well, I mean, some people just drive around their area, and you could do that. You could start there.
Well, and that's what I did, because I live in New Salisbury. And,
but I mean, like, if you just drove here and then you didn't, maybe somebody else drives to a different town.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely not going to, I'm going to be like, Frederick's Genesis house, next up home, Frederick's, and so our listeners know that's what, maybe 7 to 8 miles. Around, well, about 8 or 9 miles to New Salisbury.
Yeah, but it's exciting though.
It's exciting. Yep.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
More freedom, but then there's
more responsibility.
There's it's good to have freedom, but then it's a little bit scary too.
Right, and I have a car. I named her Penelope.
Okay.
My boyfriend got a very good deal on, and I decided if I named her, maybe I would drive her better, you know. And plus, Penelope's a cool name.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that.
Okay, so you got the car, you've got, okay.
Insurance, everything, just no license yet, but it really should be any day, and so.
Do you have to do the SR or whatever?
Nope.
No?
No,
Okay.
I was arrested in New Albany for an OWI, operating while intoxicated, but somehow, which was why I was pulled over in the first place, somehow in the legal process that got thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of, in Florida, when you receive any kind of possession of drug charges, they suspend your license for 6 months. And
that's probably smart.
Yeah, it probably is, because, you know, if you have a license and you're on drugs, you're driving under the influence. So, and that 6 months expired well over a year ago, but it's just the reinstatement fee, you know, because I haven't been back to Florida since they flew me out of there shackled on a plane, so.
Well, I had a period of time where I could get my license back. I paid the reinstatement fee, but I knew that I was going to lose the opportunity again once my court case got settled. So, so I knew that. So I would have went through all that and then lost it in 3 months.
Oh yeah, it's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it. That. But I did pay like the first fees.
Yes.
The first fees are gone. Yeah.
So you just have, are you going to have an SR22?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 Okay.
And it's going to be expensive. Yeah.
It is expensive. I've never had to have an SR22, but I have had full coverage on a new car before, and because of how terrible my driving record was, even without the OWI, I think I was paying $400 and something a month for insurance just for me. So it was bad, you know, and rightfully so, you know. One time I crashed into my husband on the freeway and totaled both our cars, and we're on the phone with the insurance lady, and she said, "I'm confused. Which one of you had a crash?" Both of us. Both of us have a claim. So that's where that's at.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand completely. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like it has to happen soon for me.
Yeah.
Like I have to.
Yeah, to move on to the next phase of life.
Right.
I mean, even in recovery, I felt like, and maybe you feel like this too, like there's certain steps or milestones or time periods, and it almost was frustrating in the halfway house to watch all these people get cars and stuff so quickly, and I have to remember that I believe in God's timing, and I do feel like God is kind of giving me a nudge, like it's your time to drive again, but
I felt like at times where it's time to move on, and then I didn't, and then I get like a push.
Yeah, then you get a push.
Yeah, I get a push. Yeah, you got to move on now.
Yeah.
So, but like living alone is kind of a big step for me because I was really scared to live alone.
Have you ever lived alone before?
I have lived alone before, but I was just afraid. I don't know. I just had a lot of fear when I moved out of the halfway house to live alone. I was afraid I would get in my head and then start drinking,
right?
You know, and I didn't want to do that. So I moved in with a roommate, somebody that she wasn't in recovery, but she could hold me accountable, you know, because that kind of thing.
And so, that worked out for years, or
that
no?
I lived with her for like a year and a half, and it worked out.
Okay.
But it was just time for us to separate. She's doing something else with her life, and then I'm pretty good to live alone. Like I don't. Some people don't like it.
I liked it, but I mean I like being in a relationship now too. But I think that's a huge step to live alone because it also shows that you trust yourself. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
So, and that's a big deal. I mean, I feel like you should trust yourself because there are going to be incidents like today when you're dropped off at the liquor store and you couldn't get a hold of somebody.
Yeah.
You know, or like when I first moved out of the halfway house and into my house, I was looking for my vape juice, and this is exactly how this happened. You know, I was seriously just looking for it, and I picked up this pill bottle and it said pain pills in like scratchy handwriting. So of course the addict in me has to go, well, what kind of pain pills? So I take mine, dump it, and do a little search on it, and it was Oxycontin.
Oh gosh.
And I like my head reset so quick that I actually put 2 of them in my watch pocket. And then I was like, what am I doing? And I took and I flushed them all. And they weren't mine to flush, but, Adam didn't care. And he said, I tried to get everything like that out of here. I guess I didn't see it. And I said, well, it only said pain pills and chicken scratch, so that's not your fault,
Yeah.
And it's not his fault, So that was my first test of faith in myself, living outside of the halfway house. Have you had things like that?
Well, my roommate, she's not one of us, so she had alcohol in the freezer one time, and I opened it up, and basically I had it in my head that people should know what to do around us, almost entitlement.
Like,
I guess.
How dare she? Right.
Yeah,
right.
But she didn't know.
Yeah.
And she thought I was good.
Yeah.
So it's her apartment too, and I was just like, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It wasn't that I felt like I wanted to drink, but I couldn't stop thinking about that. It scared me that it was in there.
Right.
And so I did the steps. You call this person, and went to a meeting, came home. It was still in my brain.
Yeah.
And I went to work. I had a talk with her. It didn't go well. I was real aggressive. That's why it didn't go well.
Okay. Right.
And but then I reapproached it. I'm like, I didn't feel comfortable at all.
Yeah.
And so I was still upset, and it was weird. My friend that I lived with for a while, she's real sweet. She's one of my sweetest friends. She just pops into my workplace that day. Out of the blue. I just thought I'd come see you.
Yeah.
As soon as I get home, my son pulls up. And then I realized,
it's God sending your support system.
It is.
Yeah.
And that just made it all fall away. Like, it wasn't, I didn't think about it again, and she moved it, and everything was fine.
Everything's fine. Well, that's good. And I guess before in my life, I never took the time to see what would happen if I did the right thing. Like when I found that fentanyl in Florida when I was in rehab, and I was doing the program I was supposed to then. I was on Suboxone and benzos, but I was taking them as prescribed. I was what I considered clean at the time, and when I found that 5 grams of fentanyl, all I had to do was throw it out. And I did end up dumping some of it, but my first thought to get high, it was still there when I found the pills. Like I said, I put 2 in my watch pocket, which is crazy. It's like, why would I even do that? And one thing that helped me was I knew that night I was speaking at Hickory, and I go in and tell my story at rehabs. At least once a month at different places.
Yeah.
So I was like, how? I can't take one of these and go hey, I'm a recovering addict, because I will no longer be recovering.
Yeah.
And so I think there's something to be said for service work and sponsor work and things like that.
Definitely. There's no way. Like, even I'm 3.5, and I still had to call someone.
Yeah.
Today.
So I don't think that ever goes away. Yeah.
I still. It's not like you get to some certain point, because the day I felt like I was doing God's will. Like, I was, I was humble, I was helpful, I was all the things that I felt like I needed to be at work.
Right.
And work went well, and then I was walking with my friend, and everything was going good, and then all of a sudden, I'm full of fear, because of this, and I'm like, well, I have to call somebody and tell, because I don't want my mind to spin.
Well, and I think that was God's grace working in your life, because, but God, you wouldn't have made that call.
But the thing is like, you couldn't come the other day, and you're here today. Do you see?
Yeah.
Like the person I was talking to, I'm like, well, don't worry. Kendall's coming over here real soon, so it'll be fine. Even if I'm not fine, I will be fine.
Yeah.
Because you're coming here.
Well, that's true.
See?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
And I was feeling not so strong in my recovery. I guess there's just days like that. Yeah. And when you're...
That was a bad day for a lot of people, though.
That was a really bad day.
It was
I
like
think
an
there's
overall...
something planet alignment or something. I believe in that stuff.
I do too.
I definitely think that was a thing. I had, I'm going through a divorce after 20 some years, and they had me sign this paper so that him and my kids could buy a house in Arkansas. Yeah. So I felt like my family's moving without me, and then nothing was working out with ride situation, which once we're drivers, we don't ever have to worry about that again. Yeah. And it just, it didn't work out. But then I was thinking today, I haven't been feeling that good, but I knew I was going to FFW tonight, and I knew that being here and talking about recovery or whatever we talked about would be beneficial, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one thing I never got before either when I halfway tried to get clean is that the steps worked, and they worked for over 1.2 million people all over the world, you know. So what makes me think that I don't need them, you know?
Right. Yeah. I had all kinds of ideas in my head. I felt like I would only do the recovery program that I'm doing for a little while, and then I would stop.
Yeah.
Why would I think
I know, I thought that too. I thought that
would,
was too, like it's a temporary thing.
Yeah, and then I would just, you know, I would go back to the halfway house for just a little while, and then stop that. And I'm like, why do I even get these ideas in my head?
Right.
It's silly. Yeah.
Well, I've gotten ideas like that too, and I think that that's one thing that sets the
like
Genesis House apart is that you can go back and they encourage you to be a part of that program.
Yeah, definitely. Because who else, you know, if I was just in a regular recovery program, I just feel like if my sponsor didn't answer the phone, who am I going to call? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I could probably call 40 people.
Right,
you know?
and that's
I got
great.
like 40 people to call.
And that is great.
And I have had instances where I felt, if I feel over emotional and my brain's not working right, and I can tell it, then I know that I have to call somebody.
Right.
And I've called 7 people and they didn't pick up, and so the 8th person did. I've done that before.
And that's good, and that's what they tell you to do. If your
Yeah.
sponsor doesn't answer, call a sober sister. If that person doesn't answer,
Keep
call.
calling.
Just keep calling.
Yeah.
And I'm sometimes not that great at doing that because we spend so many years thinking. I call it running in my will, you know, instead of God's. And you think that you have to fix everything yourself or do everything yourself, or it's some kind of form of weakness when really it's the exact opposite.
Right. I'm being humble.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I gotta.
I'm
not feeling okay.
Right.
But the thing is, if I go ahead and call somebody, it usually will end it.
Yeah, it dissipates it. And I had called my sponsor the day I found the pills, and she didn't answer, but she called me back.
Yeah.
You know, and even by the time she called back, I had flushed them, but I was agitated still. But after I hung up the phone, I was okay, and I was able to go into Hickory and throw that onto the end of my story, you know, because recovery is not the end. It's an ongoing process. So, you know, and I wanted the gentlemen there that are in treatment to know that the enemy stands around every corner and probably is never going to go away, you know, so.
Yeah, well, how long was that our solution?
Yeah, exactly.
It was a long time.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point too, because that's kind of like your go-to. And anytime I get depressed, that is my first thought. You know, you're not responsible for your first thought, but you are your second. I heard that said a lot of times, and I believe that, you know, because it will be my first thought if I wake up feeling gross, like, oh, I wish I could just take something to feel better. And then my second thought is like, yeah, that really worked out well for you. You know, that's a good idea.
Oh no, I mean, I get it. I don't really have those thoughts anymore. I don't know. I remember still having some when I first, probably from year 1 to 2, I would still have those. But they were fleeting.
Real fleeting.
Yeah, a fleeting thought doesn't. But a spinning thought, a repeating thought was not good.
Yeah, I haven't really had much of those at all. Just the first thought and fleeting. And I dream about drugs a lot and alcohol. Do you dream about?
I did probably about maybe 2 months ago. It was real weird. It was like a nap during the day, and. The minute that I opened my eyes, it was a beer, and I was at a casino. Yeah. And then I drank half of it and decided I didn't want it, and somebody else was there in recovery, and I just handed it to that person and walked off. And I woke up, and my son texted me the second that I woke. He said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I just had a dream about alcohol." You know? So I could tell somebody right away. And he's like, he just woke up from some weird dream too.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, you know, I was able to, and then I didn't feel bad. I can't help that. You
Yeah,
know?
you can't help what you dream. I've had dreams really, it's getting less so now, but about 6 months ago, my dreams were so frequently of drug use, you know, and such, the cops were always after me, and I, you know, I had hide shit everywhere. It was just bad, but I would wake up agitated from those dreams, not because I wanted to use or the phenomenon of craving was back or anything, but just agitated. But I had to tell myself, you know, 29 years is a long time, like you said, for that to be your solution.
Right.
You know, and I think maybe my brain, while I sleep, is still trying to subconsciously, you know, get what it used to have all the time. You know, it's just not used to functioning on nothing, you know.
Yeah, I just know, like, that, to make it, I did kind of feel like, oh, why, you know, but then immediately, my son, do you see what I mean? I'm like, okay, well, there's... Yeah.
So your support system came in
right there.
Through God's grace.
Yeah.
That's
right
awesome.
there, and it kind of ended it, and I didn't feel any way about
That's
it.
where I'm at with it
it's
today. You know, I did talk to my therapist about it because I was like, this is, you know, I would get agitated at myself because I'm laying it still my serenity. Yeah. And there was things she's talked about, well, maybe we can reprogram your brain to where if you start to dream about heroin or meth, it'll turn into your cat. And I thought, that's the dumbest, smartest thing I've ever heard, you know? And so, and that's what I've tried to do from now on. Is like, you know, steer my dreams in the direction. I will open my eyes and Delilah will be laying there. I'm like, you know, thank you, God, for all you've given me.
I do listen to something while I sleep most of the time, so I don't know if that affects it or not.
I don't know either.
I listen to kind of like ocean sounds, but I'll listen to subliminals.
Cool.
Like self...
like affirmations, maybe?
Yeah, like affirmations about like self-worth and that kind of thing. So I'm like, I'll just reprogram my brain too while I sleep.
Right.
So
well, that's good.
Yeah, I think it helps.
Couldn't hurt. I'll have to look into doing that.
Yeah, they have them on YouTube, but I have an app and I pay a decent amount, but I like it.
Yeah.
Now, if I ever get constrained, I'll have to let it go because it's like $20 a month or something. But I listen to it every and I don't wake up as irritable as I used to.
Well, that's good. It must be working then.
Because I'd wake up irritable every day almost.
Yeah.
You know, and then have to have a process.
Come out of that.
Yeah, to come out. That's the way. It's like, and I'm still real bad. I'll sleep in one position. Mm-hmm. You know, like.
Yeah, almost in like a protective stance or something.
Yeah, I'll do that. I still do that. Like there's like a dip, and I don't weigh that much, but I'll really put.
You left your mark.
Yeah, because it's just I'm solid in one position.
Yeah.
Yeah, all night. I don't.
You don't really roam around, huh?
Yeah, I don't really relax all the way.
Interesting.
Yeah, but that helps because I wake up and I'm not. Yeah, I'm not irritable.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah.
Hell, that'd be worth the $20 a month.
Yeah.
For me. Wake up
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's the sound of. Because sound kind of puts me to sleep.
It does me too.
Yeah, but I just see that like it's kind of like hypnosis.
Yeah,
but you can't hear. You can kind of hear like whispers, and then they tell you what the affirmations are.
Okay.
So and then they have like
really
all different ones. So
I didn't know they had such a thing. So that's
I didn't either until like recently. I think it's been maybe the last few months or something. I've been doing that.
Because I fall asleep watching Murder on Dateline, and you know nobody wants to be thinking about that. Like, but for some reason, those people's voices and the stories just put me right to sleep. Oh
no, I used to listen to like murder podcasts.
Yeah.
And I would read like murder books.
Yeah.
I'm okay with horror movies, but I'm not big on gore because
I'm big on true crime. Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to.
But like books will stay in my head, and so they can kind of mess with me more than like a movie or anything because I really get into books.
Yeah.
And I just noticed like the crime books, like they were staying around like a day or two, and like I would have like a heaviness, so I stopped reading.
Right. I feel the same way with reading crime books. I started reading like Colleen Hoover, you know, to
Yeah,
to
I
attract
read
some,
one of those too.
attract some happiness or something, or
Yeah.
lighthearted stuff. Because I know what you mean. I think there's something about the written word when you.
Yeah, especially like psychological thrillers that they'll stick, or apocalyptic books.
Oh
like,
yeah.
that'll stick with me for like a week. I'll be walking around like, oh
It's the
gosh.
end of times.
It's the end of
It's the
times.
fullness.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that where I've felt depressed after reading a book,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this is
I
staying
have
with
too,
me
yeah.
way too long.
Right.
Yeah, like I get into them, and especially if it's like a trilogy, then I'm all depressed because there's not another book or something.
Oh yeah. I felt like that before too. Like
Yeah.
run out of the book. Like man.
Yeah, like the girl with the dragon tattoo. Did you read those?
No, I
oh, yeah.
didn't, but
Yeah, that's a good one.
I know people got into it. I read all of Nicholas Sparks' books, and so when I found out I'd read them all, I felt that depression. I was like, what? What do you mean? That's all of them?
They should
Where's
do
you read more?
They should
You
do
know?
them like the teen books where there's like volumes and volumes
Yeah,
and volumes. Of
volumes and volumes and volumes. I mean, it was a good 24, 25 books at
them.
least.
Oh wow!
but,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
There's no more. There's no more. I went down the list again, and I was like, wait a minute, how have I read every single one of these? You better get back to writing.
Yeah.
Nicholas, if you're listening.
Get on it, definitely.
Yeah.
So, how much more do you have more time, or do you need to go?
Let's see, what time is it? Do
I
we
don't know. I don't even
We
know.
don't have our phones out, so we don't know.
Yeah.
I'm probably pretty close to
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can just end it here.
Okay,
All right.
well,
Well, I
that sounds
appreciate
good.
you.
I appreciate you having
Thank
me.
you. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye.